Well, hello. Good morning. Michael here. And today looking at Psalms 11, the first three verses for the exposition. So let's go ahead and read those first three verses of Psalms 11. It's subtitled, The Lord is in His Holy Temple. Verse 1. In the Lord I take refuge. How can you say to my soul, flee like a bird to your mountain? Verse 2. For behold, the wicked bend the bow. They have fitted their arrow to the string, to shoot in the dark at the upright in heart. Verse 3. If the foundations are destroyed, what can the righteous do? Let's look at the exposition from the Treasury of David as written by John Spurgeon. Verse 1. These verses contain an account of a temptation to distrust God, with which David was upon some unmentioned occasion greatly exercised. It may be that in the days when he was in Saul's court, he was advised to flee, at a time when this flight would have been charged against him as a breach of duty to the king, or a proof of personal cowardice. His case was like that of Nehemiah, when his enemies, under the garb of friendship, hoped to entrap him by advising him to escape for his life. Had he done so, they could then have found a ground of accusation. Nehemiah bravely replied, Shall such a man as I flee? And David, in a like spirit, refuses to retreat, exclaiming, In the Lord put I my trust. How say ye to my soul, flee as a bird to your mountain? When Satan cannot overthrow us by presumption, how craftily will he seek to ruin us by distrust? He will employ our dearest friends to argue us out of our confidence, and he will use such plausible logic that unless we once for all assert our immovable trust in Jehovah, he'll make us like the timid bird which flies to the mountain whenever danger presents itself. Verse 2. How forcibly the case is put. The bow is bent, the arrow is fitted to the string. Flee, flee, thou defenseless bird. Thy safety lies in flight. Begone, for thine enemy will send their shafts into thy heart. Haste, haste, for soon wilt thou be destroyed. David seems to have felt the force of the advice, for it came home to his soul, but yet he would not yield, but would rather dare the danger than exhibit a distrust in the Lord his God. Doubtless the perils which encompassed David was great and imminent. It was quite true that his enemies were ready to shoot privily at him. Verse 3. It was equally correct that the very foundations of law and justice were destroyed under Saul's unrighteous government. But what were all these things to the man whose trust was in God alone? He could brave the dangers, could escape the enemies, and defy the injustice which surrounded him. His answers to the question, What can the righteous do? Would be the counter question, What cannot they do? When prayer engages God on our side, and when faith secures the fulfillment of the promise, what cause can there be for flight, however cruel and mighty are our enemies? With a sling and a stone, David had smitten a giant before whom the whole host of Israel was trembling, and the Lord, who delivered him from the uncircumcised Philistine, could surely deliver him from King Saul and his myrmidons. There is no such word as impossibility in the language of faith. That martial grace knows how to fight and conquer, but she knows not how to flee. Trust you enjoyed the meditation. Michael here declaring yet again, Jesus is Lord. Until next time, be blessed.